Okay, well, welcome everybody. Monday night, we are One Mondo as a community, as a team, wherever you are. You're probably expecting the dashing good looks of Marco Passanante, and you probably can't tell there's any difference between myself speaking and Marco. But just going to see if anyone's listening. I'm just seeing if there's any smiles happening. But Marco, as we all know, and his good fiance are residing in Dubai presently. And it's 1 a.m. in the morning there. He is on, but the connection is very poor. So he asked me to step up and step on and share with you. So I thought just very quickly that what can I share with you that may be relevant, that could potentially resonate of a life of an entrepreneur, of a life of a network marketer, the daily. Ready for this? And you can all take it in or out of context. The daily grind. See, the grind doesn't need to be negative, but we've got to acknowledge that what we have to do to make things happen and change for us requires both an internal change and an external change. Where so many times we're looking for those results before we get the belief, or before we even start being willing to make some additional commitment, some change in our thinking process, our ability to learn how to communicate with others. And so I just put a couple of slides together that I want to walk you through. And some of this you may know already, but it's always good to revisit. Some of you may be the very first time you've heard this type of content and may see yourself in the middle of what I'm about to explain to you. But the great thing about this is that when you can resonate with it and understand that this is part of the journey, because if you want things to change, then we must have things that we must change, not only about our environment, but who we are. Not to change our personality, not to change our ethics or our moral compass, but, well, some of us may have to change our moral compass, but some of us, but to change what we do in addition to what we are doing. Oh, that was good. I'm going to write that one down. We must realize we're going to have to change what we do in addition to what we are doing. What do we mean by that? Well, many of us have full-time careers. Many of us are married. Many of us have children. Many of us have full-time occupations and businesses. And yet we take something on in addition called One Mondo, Zinzino. And we want the results that we see for a presentation, but we've got to realize then we have to carve out the time to change what we do in addition to what we are doing. Still have to be a father, still have to be a partner, I still have to be a career-minded individual, whatever they may be. I may still have to be members of the committee that I represent, but in addition to what I'm doing, I have to change what I do. Well, what do I change? I turn off the TV, the Netflix, I call the remote control, the income reducer. I got to stop maybe going and watching people play sport. Of course, we can't do that right now. Instead of being a spectator of sport, why don't I participate in creating my own economy? So we carry on doing what we're doing, but we change what we do in our own time. Therefore, success is a choice. We choose whether we watch, we choose whether we play, we choose whether we sit on the bench, and we choose whether we pick up a book. We choose to what we listen to. It's all a choice, but those who aren't willing to change are the ones generally that make the most excuses. But when you embark in a journey, you'll start to realize once I start to embrace the progression and the process, then it's a matter of time, long as I don't jump off what I call the conveyor belt. And the conveyor belt is taking you from where you are today to where you want to be. So I want to share a couple of slides. I'm going to share my screen. Let me bring up the presentation first of all. Let me see. There we go. Share my screen. Okay, I can see Shan. Shan is in the room next door because she wants to not get any feedback. But Shan, you can see the screen okay? Excellent. So I want you to start thinking about, as you start your professional network marketing career, the importance of so many times we'll have people join We'll have people partner with you. You'll have people that they have great expectations, but you sense that there's an element of lack of coachability. There's a lack of willingness to engage in the processes because they're at this stage. And if you've never been at this stage, let me assure you that you will sooner or later be at this stage. And there are 4 stages of competence. And the first one, and this is why this system is so important, because when people join, they're going to come and join you from various backgrounds. They're going to come from academic backgrounds, engineering backgrounds. They're going to come from medical backgrounds. They're going to come from successful backgrounds, not as successful they're going to come from various backgrounds. And of course, the thing that they've all have in common is that they all had to learn something about what they chose as a career, a field of endeavor. So they are knowledgeable in what they do. So we present them an opportunity to fulfill their goals, their dreams, their aspirations. And of course, they may be in their late teens, I should say. We have a young lady on here that's absolutely killing it right now in her first few weeks, but she's less than 20, but she's hungry. She's honorable. She's honorable, and regarding she's teachable. There's others that get to 25, 35, 45, me, 51. And the biggest thing I had to learn was to submit myself, not from a negative perspective, but I had to submit to myself to an individual, a team, a support mechanism, a system that I was aware of, but I didn't understand it all. So when people join you in the business, understand that they are coming from a perspective where they have no clue, that they know nothing. They generally come to you thinking they know it all, yet they have not yet established that they are unconscious, incompetent of the basic fundamentals of what we need to walk them through. And that, of course, is the fast start. That's first 30 to 60 days, that first 24 to 48 hours of onboarding with the business launch document. They're unconscious of that. They're not aware of that. So if we leave someone that may join your business as a partner, that may have achieved greater success than you've ever achieved, not just in Zinzino, because you're building, but even in fields prior to joining Zinzino, then that's the importance that you now know that they don't know what they don't know, but you do know that they don't know. So, but you know that you're not good enough yet to teach them what they don't know because of your lack of belief or posture. So there, it's important to understand that you must know to bring a third party in to help you cover the things that you know you need to teach someone who doesn't know it, but you're too scared to do it. Don't ask me to repeat that. But the unconscious incompetence, they don't know how to make a list. They don't know. Now, we can tell them, hey, the first thing we're going to do is make a list. But they don't know how to make a list. That's why we've got the memory jogger in the Express Start. They don't know how to make a list the right way. Of course, we've made a shopping list of a grocery list. We've made a party invitation list. We've made a list of things that we need to do around that. They know how to make a list, but they don't know how to build a names list. I want to repeat that. They know how to make a list, but they don't know how to build a names list. Well, they're going to build a list of everybody they know. Then they're going to build a list of everybody they know of. Then they're going to build a list of people they know, the profession, but they don't actually know that person, a connection. But they don't know how to do that, and we leave them to their own devices. They may come in, as I said, with better posture and stature and success than you, and you don't feel that you can lead them down that way. And so the importance of knowing that it's important to bring a third party in, your upline, your team, someone who's maybe further on down the road that can lead you, can show you how to onboard a new person, because whilst that person is excited joining your partnership, but they're unconscious about their incompetence. But sooner or later, if they're left to their devices, they become quickly aware that they don't know everything. Now, here's a gray area. The area of moving from they think they know it all, they know a better way, they're going to, oh, you know what, I'm going to do it my way. All of a sudden, that bridge into the consciousness of that they have no idea what to do, or they now start to understand they don't know, and it now exposes them, their environment, I've got the founder calling me. Do I take the call from the founder, or do I love him and tell him I come back to him in a moment? So the conscious incompetence is so important to understand, because that's when an engineer, an educator, a chef, a full-time parent, a medical practitioner starts to feel vulnerable. And when we all of a sudden realize we may know how to operate, but we don't know how to make a list, or we know how to make a list, but we don't know how to invite properly. And so we invite our own way, but we don't position it properly, and we get rejection, or we don't get the uptake, or we don't feel the success that we should have got with our status. What's easier for us to do in that position is not to tell you that I'm scared, not to tell you that I'm vulnerable, not to tell you that I realize I cannot do this. I'd rather tell you I'm too busy. I'd rather tell you, you know what, I've got other projects on right now. I'm just going to put this on the back burner. They'll tell you everything other than I need help. But that's our responsibility. That's where we know that when people join you as a partner, that we have to take responsibility for their unconscious incompetence. Because if we allow them to progress to that conscious incompetence and not understand that the system is bigger than them, the system is bigger than us, the system is what teaches us the basics, the skills and the information that's duplicatable, whether you are a practitioner, an engineer, a prosecuting attorney, to a stay-at-home parent. It doesn't matter what your background is, because the system does not prejudge the person who wants to learn it, who wants to duplicate it, and wants to teach it. I've always shared with people, success in this industry is three things. We learn the basics, we do the basics, and we teach the basics. There's no sophistication in this industry whatsoever. It's monotonous, it's mundane, it's repetitive. But when you learn those basics and you do them over again and over again, then the lifestyle you create is not basic. But you've got to be able to build a lifestyle built on a most common denominator, duplicatable program that teaches those who are incompetent, and then become aware of that then you can put them into a system and show them by an example till they move to a conscious competence. They now know what to do. You showed them how to make a list. You didn't tell them how to make a list. You showed them how to use a memory jogger. You didn't just point at it in the Express Star. You showed them how to invite a potential customer to a customer presentation or a three-way call with a support team that will talk about just the products, because this is a potential customer. You showed them, you teach them by showing them, not telling them. And so as they sit with you, as they sit around you and watch you, as you implement the me, we, you start to see them change. You start to see them grow. You start to see them now, all of a sudden, you start to see them relax, smile a little while. Yes, they are an educator. Yes, they are a practitioner. Yes, they are an engineer. They've had a degree, their first master's degree. They've got education behind them. They've got some financial substance about them. They may have the lifestyle that you're even trying to build. But you know what? Where the smile comes from is the joy of them understanding they're learning something new. They're learning something that's not complicated. It's quite humbling. It's quite refreshing. This is, hold on a moment, I can fit this in because I know how I can make a contact in 5 minutes in between two court sessions because someone showed me and realized and moved me from being unconsciously incompetent to consciously incompetent to consciously competent. And then all of a sudden, you'll see the likes of the Richies and the Fabians, the Zinabs, the Javiers, the leaders that are coming from the Gudruns. You see all these people, the Burgesses, the Booths. You see all these people coming through who appear to you to be unconsciously competent because they know what they're doing. They know how to do it, but they make it look like it's natural. So that's a journey we must all go on, and we will all find ourselves at some stage of this competence trial. Well, now let's convert that into a day in the life of an entrepreneur. So first of all, we're excited. We don't know what we don't know. We are so excited. We've just been shown an opportunity. We're going to change the world overnight. Everybody we're going to talk to is going to join us because they know who I am. And I know that I'm excited. And then we get rejected. And then we muck up a few invitations because we did it our way. And then we go, oh, this is harder than I thought it was. Now we're starting to realize we don't know everything. And we're now moving into, shoot, it's going to take some work. It's going to be an investment of my time. I'm going to be vulnerable because I messed up. And all of a sudden, I don't know about you. I don't know if you've ever had a good day in this industry and then tomorrow wasn't as good. And before the end of the day, you had played through so many scenarios that this is going to take forever. This is not going to work. This is, but you know what? And you're letting go of that hope that you had when you first got started in the industry. And all of a sudden you go to bed and the dark cloud comes above you and everybody's quitting and running away and wants to leave you. No one wants to work with you. And you've only asked 2 people, by the way, but everyone is in or already in the different team or nobody's interested. And then tomorrow morning you get up and you just are flat. You are deflated. You're like, I'm out of here. I want to quit. But it's your dream that keeps you around. It's your dream that keeps you in one more time. It's that phone call from that partner, your sponsor, your upline, who's working with you, because you're not being left to your own devices until you start showing competence in the manner of you now know how to do it. You just got to just make that decision whether how consistently and frequently you will do it to make it look like second nature. And so you make a phone call, you're with your sponsor, you do a 3-way call, you get someone who wants to come a premier subscription or someone who wants to come in the business. And all of a sudden that day before is a significant memory. Now you're back where you were before. Oh, I'm going to take on the world. If I can get one, I can get 1,000. And that's the life of an entrepreneur. It's never a straight line. It's never all moving in the right direction. It always generally is what 1 step forward, 2 step back. And but that's the opportunity that we have to personally develop. And that's why personal development is more important than your volume. Because your volume could be due to you, could be due to your upline's efforts in your business, could be due to someone that you were fortunate of connecting with that just started building, but you have volume, you start to rank, but you really didn't build your business. So you're now realizing, hold on a moment, I've got to rank, but I don't know how to build yet. And I don't know what people will think of me because I'm going to be asked to do a customer presentation. I'm going to be asked to do a business presentation because people think I'm a platinum. They think I'm a diamond, but I really haven't developed the skills myself to be able to communicate a message. I haven't developed myself to understand even how the comp plan works, but I'm a rank. And so now all of a sudden you are now doubting your own ability. Was I wrong? Am I stuck? Why would people listen to me? And that mindset starts to take over again. I'm sharing this with you tonight because the company is exploding. Ranks are being broken. Lives are being changed. So it's not the business that will determine your success. It's you who determines your success. Your reason why, your stick-to-itness, as I talked about it last week, your tenacity. But the biggest thing I truly believe is your humility to learn. Not learn the business, but learn about yourself. To read more, to read at least 10 pages a day. People will tell me, Dave, I'm not a great reader. No, you don't have to. No one asked you if you're a great reader. They'll just say you need to start reading. The Magic of Thinking Big, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Outwitting the Devil, The Greatest Salesman in the World, Ogmandino, Acres of Diamonds, The Richest Man in Babylon. I could go on and on and on and on. But guess how you move from unconsciously incompetent to consciously incompetent is not your business growth, but your personal growth. That you can, as an individual that realizes no matter who you sit in front of, what they do for a professional career, you respect, but they're no better than you. You're no better than them. So therefore, you can walk into a room with a room full of surgeons and hold a level conversation where they know you're not a surgeon, but they know you're someone of substance because you can communicate with them because you realize your worth. You know who you are. You know where you're going. You know what you're willing to do. You know the impact you want to make. See, a lot of people follow titles. They've lost sight of following people with a purpose, and you can be that person. Now, all of a sudden, you create your breakthrough. You're consciously competent, and now you think your life is great. And you're asked to tell your story, and you look back and you realize how far you'd come, often at times how low you had been, and how jubilant you'd felt. But that is a combination of a day in the life of an entrepreneur. And that leads us to the compound effect. You see, that's why it takes a year or so. Some will come in already prepared. Some of you will enroll people to join your team or find somebody in your organization that is brought to the table by someone that you didn't even know of, but they've asked you to maybe present to them or do a three-way with them. And they bring some hot rod to the table. And they're more prepared than you and I ever were when we got started. And maybe they can compress their compound effect because they've learned life skills before they got going. Maybe you have to learn some life skills here before you get going. You may have got in, but you may not have even got going yet. So Jim Rohn says success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines. Learn the basics, do the basics, teach the basics that are practiced. Do the basics every day. While failure is simply a few errors in judgment repeated. Do you know when they talk about that cycle that is generational? You know, father, son, you're just like your father, you're just like your granddad. So many times we get told in our environment we're just like, and they expect nothing different. Then why can't you be the one who breaks that cycle? Because you realize that you made an error, you learned from your mistake, but you learned from it. So guess what? It was a great lesson. You won't repeat that. And so now you can start to develop new skills, daily habits, daily disciplines done daily will move you to your goals and dreams and aspirations. So your why. Why are you willing to personally develop? Why are you willing to make that bridge, that transition from unconsciously incompetent to consciously competent? Your why is important. You'll hear this over and over again to the point that you feel that it's no longer important because you know. But just because you know your why, it doesn't mean you date it. It doesn't mean you connect with it. It doesn't mean you visit it. It doesn't mean you talk about it. It doesn't mean that you visualize yourself in it. It doesn't mean anything. You may know it, but are you already starting to see yourself living it? Are you talking in that present moment that you can smell the coffee, you can hear the dogs barking, you can hear the ocean lapping, you can hear them calling the passenger name as the last call for a passenger in first class. Can you hear it, see it, smell it, feel it, touch it? Because in the life of an entrepreneur, when you realize that you've messed up, when you realize you don't know, when you realize those things that you have to learn to grow through, you start to understand that it's your reason why that will keep you around longer than the logic that tells you you should have quit. So as I bring this to a wrap up, I want you to also look in your One Mondo website. Let me stop sharing that. Let me see what I can bring up. Bear me. There we go. Let me just share that. So with all that said, in your One Mondo Facebook page, under files, we have our weekly coaching. So if we're going to move people from unconsciously incompetent, they don't know what they don't know, to consciously incompetent, they now figured out, I don't know it all. Then how do we get them through that period? How do we move them along the process? Well, it's called accountability. It's called growth. It's called coaching. It's called, so many people just look at their back office to see where the volume's coming from, to see what's being done in their left, to see, and they don't even see where it's coming from. They just see the numbers growing, or what, oh, my right's not as strong as my left. And if my right was only as strong as my left, then I would be. Well, that means you're not actually developing people in your organization that you would know where the volume's coming from, and you'd be building relationships, helping them to move through the process with you. And so these weekly coaching calls with your, it doesn't need to even be a sponsor. Find someone in your upline, because your sponsor could actually be new. I mean, at least a platinum, I would say, or check with your upline, again, multiple teams under the umbrella of One Mondo, but check with someone who's got some action going on. There are people that are in the hunt. There are people that are not showing you, telling you what to do. They're on the calls. They're presenting 3-4 times a day. They're handling things behind the scenes to make sure that they try and make it as smooth as possible for you. The people that know is who you go to counsel with. Not people who just like to have tea, people that want to tell you what you want to hear. You want people to hold you accountable. And so if you're going to do that, so often many people will go to you and ask you for help, but they won't tell you where they need the help. So help them to help you. Get them to do some homework before they come to you. This form is in your back office, in your One Mondo files. So do some homework. Update your list. Let them know, hey, have you updated your list? Have you added more people to it? Have you looked at somewhere where you need to source these names and connections? Ask them good questions. Why? Because when they come to you, they're going to be able to show you. You're going to be able to talk through it. You're going to be able to sort of break it down a little and build upon each of those sections so they can go away this coming week with a little bit more meat on the bone. How many meetings have we done? What names did you have? What was the outcome of that? What's the next step? Have you given them the follow-up material? Have you got a time date? And you can start to find out where people are good at inviting, where they may need some more help at inviting. Are they good at presenting, or have they been in 6 months and never presented yet? You've done a lot of freeways for them. Maybe they've been on the calls, but they haven't actually done a presentation. Because within a week or 2 or 3, most definitely within your first 30 days, there is nothing stopping you working with the me, we, you. You should have already done some element of a presentation. Maybe it's the product side of a business presentation. Then maybe it's the number side of the business presentation while someone else does the product side, because you're doing it together. And then your sponsor or your team that you're working with will watch you do the whole thing. And you come back together and they'll give you some great feedback. They'll give you some applause and how proud they are of you. And they'll also offer you some constructive criticism. And so, but without having that accountability, without having that scenario where you can be totally open and know the questions that you need answering, then you'll never get the right coaching or the right guidance that can steer you maybe off the path you're on, that will steer you from the path you're on of being unconsciously incompetent to now knowing that you don't know it all, to now knowing that you do know it all, and now that you now know how to do it and you don't even give it a second thought. Someone asks you what you do and you're in the coffee line in Starbucks, and you tell them that you know that you aligned yourself with the wellness test-based nutrition, and you set people up with their own e-commerce franchise that delivers test-based nutrition around the world globally. I mean, whatever, right? You get to the point where it comes off your tongue, not because you know, it's because you're no longer thinking about what you know, because it becomes natural. So when you see people like the Passanantes and the leaders, and you see all these guys doing what they do, know they've had a day in a life of an entrepreneur more often than not than you've experienced yet. But it's the rewards, it's the satisfaction, it's the determination, what I talked about last week. It's the dedication to your desire that will help you move along that process of unconsciously incompetent to consciously incompetent to consciously competent to unconsciously incompetent. When you start doing that over the next 6 months, a year, 2 years, then you realize this isn't about getting in business to make money. That's how you attract people. But this is about a business that allows you the opportunity to personally develop you, to be the best version of you. And the byproduct of doing that is that you'll learn how to communicate the message of better health better. You'll be able to communicate how to generate generational wealth on a residual basis better. And that down the road, as you hear often Marco Passanante talk about, he doesn't need to do this, but he'll do this for the rest of his days because of the joy and satisfaction he sees others to achieve their goals and dreams. I hope that's been of use to you tonight. I hope that was valuable to you tonight. Marco asked me about an hour ago, can you jump on and do something? And so, you know what? When you're prepared emotionally in the heart, then you just step up. Why? Because you know that you have moved through those realms of, I was in that place many years ago where I didn't know what I didn't know. And guess what I call that? Ego. Pride. Hey, this industry has no room for ego and pride, and age is not a prerequisite of success, as we found out by a young lady called Scarlett, about 19 years young. In her first few weeks has already hit the 1 or 2 of her fast start bonuses, and she is fearless, or she appears to be. Okay, she doesn't know she should be scared. Okay, there's another one for you. She's just enjoying the support that she's getting from her incredible, powerful ladies that are around her, but she also has a desire to show them how to do it as well. And that's so refreshing. So have a blessed evening. Marco Passanante, if you are on, just jump on, say hi to the team, or I will wrap it up. Let me see if he's on. Okay, you may have lost connection. So folks, just as we close out, I want you to also go visit your campaign, ongoing campaigns in your back office. We know what the February promotions are. They are go and get 5 action points, whether you enroll a partner, ultimate kit, 3 action points, an advanced kit, 2 action points, a basic kit, 1 action point, a premier subscription, 1 action point. Doesn't matter how you get action points, 5 action points, you're going to get a free test. 1 test is worth about 116, 120 euros. 5 action points, go and get 15 action points. You'll get 3, get 1 test for 5 action points. Now that's running for the whole of February. But we've also got the second promo is your second chance to qualify for your cab bonuses promotion. And that runs to the end of February. But one of the February promotions ends on Wednesday, on the 17th, where you can earn additional director trip points by getting those action points. So If you're not aware of the campaigns, that's one of the things. We are unconsciously incompetent. You don't know about the campaigns. You want to make sure that each month that you are most definitely, at least consciously competent of understanding that what the campaigns are, what you can possibly achieve, how you achieve them, and then you can gather your teams together and help those who want to take advantage of the campaigns. Love everybody, but work with the willing. I want to say that again. Love everybody, but work with the willing. So have a blessed evening, everybody. We'll see you next week, and hopefully we'll hear from Marco Passanante himself. But otherwise, let's enjoy the week and make things happen. Good night, everybody.